Happy holidays, folks.
Hey.
So sorry we have been kind of absent the past month with me working in retail and Vicky working in the service industry. It's been kind of a hectic time, so we haven't really had a lot of time to record anything. As a matter of fact, the episode that we're doing right now live, we were going to just record it and edit it together, but kind of realized it would have taken too long, and
we have a lot coming up because, it's the holidays.
Yeah, we got to go visit family the next few days, so I wouldn't have had time to put it together and get it out before Christmas, which defeats the purpose, kind of. So we wanted to just do it live. Why not? Fuck it, let's do it live.
Yeah, it's easier that way.
Yeah. But anyway, if you are joining in, you know what we're doing today. We are talking about... As I almost spill my coffee all over my
Your coffee at
wiener.
7 p.m.
We are going to be talking about the Silent Night, Deadly Night movies. So yeah. Anything you'd like to say? This was Vicky's first time watching
3 through 5.
3, 4, or 5. So she probably has a...
I don't have a lot to say.
You probably have a pretty interesting opinion, whereas... but anyway.
You could put it that way.
So, let's get into it. So, you take a look at the cover of Silent Night, Deadly Night, and you're thinking, okay, this is a killer Santa Claus movie. And with the first few, you'd be right. It is a very divisive franchise. It kind of goes off the rails immediately following the original. Like most sequels do, it kind of takes a fucking crazy right turn.
But in a very special way.
Special is a good word to put it. Good way to put it. But I don't want to waste any time. So what we're going to do here is we are going to talk about each movie in order and also rank them. So once we finish talking about all the movies, you'll have a clear picture of like the order in which we will put them in a ranking. But we're going to go in the correct order to start. So 1984's Silent Night, Deadly Night.
It's a classic. It's amazing in the same way that I could totally see the normal person, not necessarily a fan of horror movies, thinking it's ridiculous and borderline lame. But I love that.
Yeah, it's your classic slasher film.
Yeah.
It is... When people see this cover art, it is about a killer Santa Claus. But it's so much more than that. This movie, when it first came out, was protested to death. And let me share just a couple images with y'all, just to further our point. So, there you have... let me see if I can move this. No, I can't. Okay, so, here, I'll do this. Okay, there we are down at the bottom. So... it is obviously about a killer Santa Claus, Billy. And this movie was protested to death when it came out because it was the first time Santa Claus had kind of been painted in a negative light. And people really didn't like that. So let me see here. What else do I have? Let me get out of here. All right. So here is one of the newspaper articles, which people were not happy. And there's also a lot of imagery from when this happened, like from around the country, of all the people protesting, like, Santa is not a murderer, Santa is not a monster, which is really, really funny.
Yeah.
In hindsight, of course. Okay. And one more image for y'all. But go ahead, keep talking about the movie while I'm digging through this crud.
I think of people protesting Santa being maligned, essentially, in their eyes. Oh, and there he is.
Yeah.
There's our guy. Him being maligned in their eyes, to Apple not allowing the Apple symbol. I don't know if any of you don't know this. Apple not allowing their symbol to be used. Like, if you have an iPhone in a horror movie, if it's the villain holding it, they can't use the logo because they don't want their logo being aligned with a villain.
Yeah, well, I mean all the new movies that come out, it's like if like even in James Bond, it's like only James Bond uses the Sony products, the bad guys are using something else because like you said. So people don't want Santa Claus to be a bad omen, but in this movie he is. So that picture also, by the way, was us with the actor Robert Brian Wilson, who plays the killer Santa Claus in the movie. Very nice guy, by the way.
Very sweet.
Yeah. So the plot of Silent Night, Deadly Night is simple. A family is on their way to go visit the grandfather of the family at a nursing home. And the little boy's excited to see Santa Claus. And the grandfather, when everyone goes away, says to the little boy, like, "You see Santa Claus coming, boy? You better run. You better run for your life." And it's really funny.
And he means it.
So little Billy, who is a child, is scared to fucking death of Santa Claus. He doesn't want him to come. He doesn't want presents. So as they're driving home after seeing that, they don't believe that the grandfather even spoke to him. And a criminal dressed in a Santa Claus, fresh off robbing a convenience store, is pulled over on the side of the road. So the family pulls over and tries to help the Santa Claus. And the Santa Claus pulls a gun and fucking murders this little boy's family right in front of him. Shoots the father in the head, tears out his mama's boobies and they're blah, 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 and slices her throat. And meanwhile, his little brother, Ricky, is
a baby,
an infant, crying his eyes out in the back seat while Billy is hiding in the bushes, scared to death of Santa Claus. So right off the bat, his grandfather's like, "You better fucking hide from Santa Claus." And now he just saw his own family get fucking butchered by a guy in a Santa Claus suit.
Yeah, like, was Grandpa really senile or
was he right? Did he know something?
Yeah.
But
Crazy Ralph.
This is the scene in the movie to me that really screams like almost exploitation. Like, it's gnarly. Like, even watching it, no matter how many times I've seen this movie hundreds of times at this point. This scene is brutal to watch still to this day. And this is, if I was a, super Christian or something, I'd be like, yeah, no, we don't want Christmas to be like viewed like this. But now, after this has all happened, you fast forward to an orphanage where Billy and his little brother Ricky have been taken. And it is run by like a nunnery, I guess you would say. Mother Superior, like a bunch of nuns.
It's a religious orphanage.
Yes, it's a orphan children run by a nunnery. And it's very strict. So now we see Billy as like a young kid. He's getting punished with a ruler, getting beat with a belt. He's seeing people have sex and like he's getting punished for it. He's drawing like cartoons of Santa Claus killing people. And it just is furthering this young boy's hatred of Christmas and Santa Claus. And now we fast forward again to Billy's 18th birthday, where he gets a job at a toy store, Ira's Toys. And things are going well. He's has a love interest of sorts that never comes to fruition, I guess. He just, he's getting by, he's working, and then Christmas rolls around once again. And the person that at this toy store that normally plays Santa Claus calls out sick. He is not coming in.
Same.
So they look to Billy to dress up as Santa Claus.
And he's triggered.
And yeah, he's triggered. He was doing fine. He's made it this long, almost 10 years since his last incident. And he's telling all the little kids, he's like, "You better not be naughty or I'll punish you." He's like, what does he even say to the one girl? The one little girl who's like crying his eyes out. He's like, "You're being naughty. I'm going to punish you." It's funny in hindsight talking about it. But anyway, it goes well, all the kids are done and over with. And now all the adults are getting ready to party. And Billy still has his Santa Claus suit on. And his boss gets wasted. His boss is wasted, pulls him aside and he goes, "Well, Santa, you know what you have to do now." And Billy is already triggered. So he's like, "I do." So he thinks like Santa Claus does bad. He goes out and punishes all these people. So he sees two coworkers like sort of getting it on. And one guy like essentially like raping one of his coworkers. So he strangles him with like fucking
punish.
Yeah, punish. He fucking strangles him with like Christmas lights. And
shout out to Billy in that regard.
yeah, he saves the day, but then the girl's like mad at him for like saving her from being raped, and he fucking guts her with a knife. And then the boss, all drunk, comes in the back, and Billy fucking hits him with the back end of a hammer in the head, kills him. And then the other coworker is trying to run away, and Billy shoots her with a fucking bow and arrow, all dressed in a Santa suit, because this is what he believes Santa Claus does. He kills people that are doing bad.
And he obviously suffers from PTSD from what he witnessed as a young child who clearly believed in Santa, and his trust was betrayed.
Yeah. So, the nun who set him up with this job eventually is like, oh God, they had him dressed as Santa Claus, and comes to the toy store thinking like, oh no, he's going to be triggered, but she's too late. All these people are fucking slaughtered.
They're already gone.
So Billy's going on a warpath now. He's going out into town. He sees horror fucking legend Linnea Quigley like having sex with this guy on like a pool table. So he takes her, punish, and her boobs are all out, of course, because
that's her natural.
Linnea, thank you so much for your service. He picks her up and puts her boobs through the fucking horns of a deer and puts her up. He kills her boyfriend, which is like random because he just sees them in a house having sex, and nope, they got to be punished.
Well, they're bad. That's the laws of a slasher.
You can't have sex in a slasher movie.
No.
No drugs, as Randy put it in Scream, of course.
Get out of my brain.
Yeah, he got it right.
Yeah, those are the rules. You don't know the rules?
And my apologies. I don't mean to just keep going on plot, but the first one is...
It's the best.
Obviously the best one.
That's number one in the series and number one.
Yeah, so it should be no secret that number one is the only one we truly recommend for you to see, and it is going to be number one in the ranking. So that's why I'm going into more detail on it. But what Billy is essentially doing now is making his way back towards the orphanage to punish the lead nun, Mother Superior, for essentially being naughty to him while he was growing up. So along the way, he is now killing police officers. He is chopping the head off of a snowman. And all right, we're at the end of the movie already. So Billy, the kids don't know what's going on. The cops are looking for a guy dressed as Santa Claus, and they're stopping.
Which narrows it down to plenty.
Yeah, because it is Christmas time, of course. So they're stopping everyone dressed as a Santa Claus, and they're not finding him. And they accidentally kill a guy dressed as Santa on accident. But the little kids at the orphanage are like, oh my God, Santa, when Billy finally arrives. So they let him in. And they don't realize he has a fucking axe behind his back, which is like what the cover artwork is based on, I would assume. So they let him in, and he's about to unleash this axe and chop off Mother Superior's head, and he gets shot in the back and killed. Billy is dead. And the final scene of the movie, we see Billy's little brother, Ricky, who was an infant when the mother and father were killed, but he just says, naughty. So that was the end of part one. And obviously, it's the only one that's actually good and feels like a movie to me, if I'm being completely honest.
It really sticks with the theme it created.
Yeah, and this release from Scream Factory has like the uncut version, so you get a lot more of Linnea's boobs, you get a lot of guts, it's just bloodier and better. That's the version you should see. So like, if you can see the uncut version, don't see the theatrical version. It's an early 80s slasher, and it's beautiful and perfect. The acting is actually okay. It's not too over the top. It feels like a real movie. Now, the first time I saw Silent Night, Deadly Night, I had it in a 2-pack with part 2. And I brought it to my college dorm, and me and my roommate, Steve, and my roommate, Bill, went crazy for part 2. Not because it was good.
No.
But because it was so bad.
If you've somehow made it this far into horror fandom to have seen the first part but not the second, and you're a fan of schlock, watch part 2.
Yes. So, and you're looking at us right now. Sorry, I'm looking at my computer screen, but go on, keep going about part 2. Explain exactly how part 2 goes along.
I would compare parts 1 and 2 of Silent Night, Deadly Night to Texas Chainsaw Massacre in terms of the difference of the rhythm, the vibe, if you will. Silent Night, Deadly Night in itself is a great horror movie overall.
Well, explain that part 2 is essentially like watching part
I'm
1.
getting to it. Part 2, you're getting introduced to Ricky, but barely.
Yes, it's Ricky, the little brother.
Yes.
He is in a mental institution. That's how it opens up. Go ahead.
And then they start replaying scenes from the first movie and essentially break down the entire first movie through scenes from the first movie.
Yeah, you
don't need to watch part 1 again.
Yeah, like you really don't need to watch part 1 if you're watching part 2. And that's like the funny thing about it is that Ricky was not around.
He was a
when Billy was killing these people. So he's telling the story to like this shrink at this mental hospital.
Well, his eyebrows are.
Yes. It is beautiful. Now, what I'm going to share with you right now is just to set the stage essentially for what my college experience was like. Okay. So imagine my roommates. This was our floor on the second floor of our college dorm. So we were coming back from Christmas break, and this is the message that was on our bulletin board. Welcome back, second fuck. Okay. So imagine, a couple 19-year-old kids who are just essentially getting drunk and studying all day, watching shitty movies. That's what we see. And I just want to share this one more image with you guys. This is us with the actor who plays Ricky, Eric Freeman, Mr. Eyebrows himself, which if you're watching the movie, it's his eyebrows just move with every word he says.
It's almost like that was his way of telling the director he's acting.
Yes.
That's him clocking into work.
Okay. So as part 2 goes on, it's Ricky talking to a shrink, right? His eyebrows anyway. So we get there's almost a whole hour goes by and it's just all scenes from part 1.
Yeah.
So imagine a 19-year-old kid's watching this like, what the fuck is this, dude? And then we finally get to see why Ricky was in a mental institution. He is essentially going around punishing and killing people in his everyday life. He kills a guy with an umbrella in an awesome kill, stabs him, and the umbrella opens up and blood squirts everywhere. And he eventually falls for this hot blonde who had a boyfriend that calls Eric Freeman Thor. And we get one of the most iconic lines in B movie history, which I'm going to share with you guys in just a moment. And here it is. And let me add to the stage. And here we go. Okay, and
Garbage day. Huh? No.
And that just gives you a little taste of the eyebrows if you're unaware of this.
Now, keep in mind, this is a fucking Christmas movie. So, us in our college dorm were so obsessed with how bad this movie was, like so bad it's good kind of thing, that we even had a banner in our dorm room that said Garbage Day. And mind you, Eric Freeman is a really nice guy. He hated this movie for years afterwards. He only recently started doing conventions. And he now on a website sells garbage cans signed by himself saying Garbage Day. But anyway.
Make your money, King.
Yeah. It is so bad it's good. So after this rampage, he kills his girlfriend because she had sex with this annoying guy, which he shocks him with a car battery and his eyes explode. He strangles his girlfriend to death. And he just walks down this one street and just causes mayhem.
He pillages.
Yes. Causing multiple car pileups. And then eventually the cops stop him at the end of the road and he's about to blow his brains out. Boom. No bullets. So that is why he is in this mental institution. Now we finally get to the Christmas part. He kills the guard. He kills the psychoanalyst that's in there. And all we see is a change thing ringing. How the Salvation Army gets people to dress up as Santa Claus and collect change. So we just see a change thing dangling. And boom, you hear, I guess, Ricky beating up this poor guy in a Santa suit, and he steals the Santa suit. And the next shot is him on a payphone, and you hear the voice of the old nun, Mother Superior, from the first film, who raised Ricky and Billy from the first film. And he's like, Mother Superior, Santa's back. And it's like, oh my God. And now Ricky is dressed as Santa Claus, and he is going to Mother Superior's house, whose house number is 666 for some reason.
Naturally.
And he breaks in, and he's obviously on his way to finish what Billy couldn't in the first one, to kill Mother Superior. So the cops, are doing a manhunt for Ricky, and they eventually show up, and they see Mother Superior sitting there. And they're like, oh my God, thank God we got to you before this killer Santa Claus did. And they go to grab her. Too late. Ricky chopped their fucking head off. And it goes rolling down, and you hear Ricky come out of nowhere, and he goes, moo! Moo. Fucking moo. And bam, they shoot him dead. He is dead. There's blood leaking out, and that is the end of the movie. We actually get maybe 20 minutes of Ricky killing people. Otherwise, you're just watching the first film over again.
Yeah.
But like I said, it is so fucking bad and hilariously, terribly acted, with his fucking eyebrows shaking, going up and down, that you can't help but love it. Which is, where would you rank part 2?
As number 2.
Same. It is so fucking bad, but so far, it's exactly as you'd think. Part 1 is number 1 on our ranking. Part 2 is number 2. I highly suggest watching at least part 1, and if you're up for a laugh, watch part 2.
Watch both, but realistically, even wanting to revisit part 1, if you enjoy part 2, just watch that upon your revisits.
And via con Dios, okay? Because this is where this series takes a fucking shit. Okay? So, up next, we have the beautiful Vestron release of part 3, part 4, and part 3, part 4, and part 5. So part 3, Vicky.
Yikes.
This is the first time Vicky saw part 3.
Bear in mind, I never saw any of these until I met Bill over 10 years ago.
Well, you know who's important to people in lives? People that introduce you to new music, new movies,
New books,
new records.
I do that for him. But I never saw any of these until I met Bill. And there may or may not be a chance that I've seen part 3 with him in the past.
Yeah, we weren't sure if I showed it to her before this.
If we did, it's not memorable for a reason. Because first watch or rewatch, whatever it was,
It didn't hit then.
and don't hit now.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So, yes, we watched all 5 of these in succession this week, by the way.
Yeah, so I'm in a great mood.
Yeah. So part 3 continues the story of Ricky. Ironically, he apparently wasn't killed at the end of part 2, which is, I don't know how that happened, but it is no longer being played.
It's not Eric Freeman anymore. It's
Yes.
Bill Moseley now.
Yes.
Who apparently pigeonholed himself as the head guy. As in your brain, your skull, what have you.
Yes. So obviously, if you know Bill Moseley, he is Otis from House of a Thousand Corpses, The Devil's Rejects,
all that,
and he's Chop Top from
in
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Ironically,
When he
enough,
has a fucking plate on his head.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to add to the stage here now.
Yeah.
Ba-boom. This is Bill Moseley as Ricky in part 3. Now, what did you call it when we were watching it?
A brain. I called it. I was like,
fishbowl?
he is a walking snow globe, but
Yeah.
like with his brain instead of snow. So he's a brain globe.
So, all right, let me take this down real quick in a second. Now, when we met Bill Moseley, we obviously didn't get him to sign anything from Silent Night, Deadly Night 3. We got him to sign something from fucking Devil's Rejects, and I got him to sign something from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And this is a picture of Vicky with him. So let me take this down. So part 3 opens up, and Ricky, Bill Moseley now, is in a coma. And we see a girl with nodules and stuff on her head, and she's dreaming. She's dreaming of a killer Santa Claus. And what is happening is her doctor is trying to create a psychic link between her and Ricky in a coma to try and, I don't even know. This movie is so bad that they don't even explain exactly what he's doing. It's almost like in Dream Warriors, like when they're like testing their fucking dreams and shit. It's super bizarre. And what you don't know right away is that the girl that is hooked up with these machines, hooked up to Ricky, is blind. She can't see. So she can't like properly even explain what she's seeing. She's just like, I saw Santa Claus. And another funny thing about this movie, her doctor is played by none other than, let me pull this up. There we go.
Oh, right. See, I already forgot.
Sorry, I keep like pulling away from talking. I'm just trying to handle 2 screens at once. So I'm going to add this to the stage. That is the girl hooked up to the machine, and that is her doctor, played by
Richard. I forget his full name. He's Ben Horn from Twin Peaks.
He's Ben Horn from Twin fucking Peaks.
Yeah.
Which is really funny because not only did this come out the same year that Twin Peaks premiered, it also has, hold on, Leo fucking Johnson from Twin Peaks playing the blind girl's brother. And he looks like the fucking greatest hair metal guitarist of all time.
Or frontman.
Or frontman, too.
He could be the whole band with that hair.
But just a super odd coincidence. And it makes me wonder if, like, David Lynch, like, saw Silent Night, Deadly Night 3 and was like, I've got roles for these people.
I couldn't remember Richard Brayman, whatever, it doesn't matter. Eric DeRay. I know Leo Johnson's real name.
Yeah.
It's Eric DeRay.
So anyway.
Sorry, patting myself in the back. Memory.
So after this dream link scene, the blind girl and Leo Johnson, the brother, his name isn't Leo Johnson in the fucking movie.
Eric DeRay.
I'm going to refer to him as Leo Johnson because that's who he is to me as a Twin Peaks fan. So they're going away to go to their grandma's house to celebrate Christmas together. And that is really the only link to Christmas in this one. Ricky never fully dresses as Santa Claus in this one. So they're on their way with Leo Johnson's new girlfriend to go visit their grandma and spend Christmas with them because it's a Christmas tradition. And then a man who is drunk, dressed as Santa Claus, going to spread cheer at the hospital, walks into Ricky's room, Bill Moseley, who is still in a coma. Something about Santa Claus coming into this motherfucker's room wakes him up out of a coma that he's been in for, I don't know, 8 years, I think they say. And he comes to life and slaughters Santa Claus and escapes his hospital bed, kills the receptionist, and he's off on his way. He also doesn't speak anymore. He's got the fishbowl thing on his head. He's walking down the highway, and he is there's literally a scene where he is like in like a pseudo hospital gown, hitchhiking like this. And someone picks him up.
Different times.
But he doesn't speak. And like,
it's
like, is he walking in a coma?
I'll have you and anyone watching this know, I like the movie better through your description than the actual movie.
Yes, the movie's terrible.
Yeah,
please don't let me say all these crazy things and think it's good. I think
part 3... And if you do like it, we're not judging you.
Not judging you. We love a lot of shitty movies.
I really want you to convince us, though.
So he gets picked up by this guy, kills him, takes his clothes, and somehow magically he knows how to get to Leo Johnson and the blind girl's grandma's house.
Well, he's
psychically linked somehow with this girl. But how does the blind girl even know how to get there?
And I remember getting so mad when we were watching it because I kept mentally tuning out during the movie because it's so ridiculous that I just couldn't even pretend to focus. And I would look up at the screen every time, like, he's just like letting her like go off. Like, how does she know her way through the house?
Yeah, like, I don't know.
There's a lot of missing pieces, which is also linked to Twin Peaks.
And it's so terribly acted.
We don't expect Oscar type acting
from these
in this.
movies. No, just
by any
coherent.
means, but
There's so many plot holes in this.
she doesn't use the
She doesn't use the
properly.
stick.
But again, I'm not expecting Oscar award-winning performances here. But she like at one point folds it up and puts it on the side. It's like, aren't you gonna need that?
Yeah.
But okay, all right, sure.
It's okay. She knows her way around the grandma's house. But that's getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So,
but that was something I was verbally yelling
at the screen
because I was just like,
"Hey, what are you doing, you fucking fishbowl?" So, Bill Moseley, still like doesn't speak, comatose, walking around, gets to the grandma's house, and the grandma treats him well. He's just a fucking stranger, and she lets this guy in with a fucking fishbowl on his head.
It was different times.
Yes. And he's like sort of covering it with a beanie, but you could still see his brain washing around in it. But she's treating him well. She's a kind soul, I guess you'd say. She's feeding him. And then Bill Moseley sees red on one of the Christmas presents. And all of a sudden, he's triggered again.
He's a bull all of a sudden.
Kills the grandma. So then Leo Johnson and Blind Girl and Leo Johnson's girlfriend show up at their grandma's house, and grandma's nowhere to be found. But neither is Bill Moseley, Ricky, yet. And this starts another fucking bizarro bunch of events. Leo Johnson and his girlfriend are naked taking a bath together at his grandma's house. And they're like, it's just fucking weird. I remember I looked at her and I was like, would you feel comfortable like getting naked and hopping in a bath with me at my grandma's house?
No, absolutely not.
Like, love you, Nan, but I would never do that to you.
No, that's weird.
It's just fucking weird. And meanwhile, blind sister's downstairs with no cane, just
like,
walking
she is
around.
blind, so at least if she made her way into the bathroom, she wouldn't know what she's walking in on.
You know what I could use at my grandma's house?
A bath.
A nice fucking bath,
with
baby.
you.
It's just fucking weird.
Yeah, like there's a lot of why.
Yeah, why are they doing this? Why does this movie fucking exist?
I don't
How
know.
is Ricky alive?
I personally relate to Ricky with the brain globe, but that's a story for another day.
So the movie keeps going on, and all of a sudden the psychic girl is seeing Ricky, Bill Moseley, around. She's like, we got to get out of here. There's something wrong. And like, Ricky, I guess, steals Leo Johnson's Jeep Cherokee and crashes it and flips it. So they're like, oh my God, we got to get out of here. Let's walk to the highway and get the fuck out of here. But boom, there's fucking Ricky, and he shows up and he kills Leo Johnson. And meanwhile, Ben Horn, the doctor, is showing up with a cop, and they see Ricky killing Leo Johnson. They're like, hey, stop what you're doing. But it's like, there's nothing they could do. He's on his warpath. He's killing people. So he kills all them. And then what happens? Do you even remember?
Barely.
Me
Bits
neither.
and pieces. I didn't enjoy this one.
Anyway, yeah. We hate this one. It is our least favorite. Eventually,
It's number 5.
does he get killed at the end?
I don't remember.
Me neither. That's how bad part 3 is. Don't watch part 3. It doesn't need to exist. It is terrible.
And you won't miss anything if you don't watch it.
And we fucking love Bill Moseley.
I support giving everything a single shot. Again, if you manage to like this at all, great for you.
Avoid
Good on
this
you.
one like the plague.
Yeah, if you're not a fan of nonsensical movies, don't.
This movie makes no sense.
None.
It doesn't need to exist. He's psychically linked to a blind girl.
I think the thing Richard Bamer. The thing I like most about this is the selection of actors.
The Twin Peaks people.
Yes, Richard Bamer, Eric DeRay, and Bill Moseley.
Yeah.
Who's not in Twin Peaks, but again, those three. That's the only.
But us not even remembering. We watched this 2 days ago.
Whoops.
Already don't remember exactly how it ended because of how mentally checked out this movie makes you. And I hadn't watched this in a few years because I had an old DVD of it. But picking this up, I want to rewatch all of these. Of course, I'm not one of these people who just buys things. I watch the things I buy. And what a better time than Christmas to revisit all the Silent Night, Deadly Night movies.
Goodie for me.
Yeah. But yeah. So if you're following along with the ranking, right now we have part 1 ranked number 1, part 2 ranked number 2. And do you agree that Silent Night, Deadly Night 3 is the fucking worst one in this entire series?
Yeah.
So there's 5 movies in this series.
1, 2, and 5 have been placed now by
Yes.
us.
So part 3, we're ranking number 5. So that leaves us
with 3
with
and 4.
3 and 4 in our ranking.
Which
So-
are also movies 4 and 5.
Yes,
Not
obviously.
to be confused.
Now we're not going to be going over the remake.
No,
Because,
I don't. No.
No. So now we're going to get into part 4. Would you like to elaborate the people
No.
with what part 4 is about?
No. I could be very comfortable never watching 3 through 5 again, to be
Fair
completely
enough.
honest. To break it down, essentially, if you are familiar with Brian Usna's work,
Yes, he is.
a big body horror guy.
Yes, him and Screaming Mad George, who did the special effects for this movie, worked together a lot. I think their most famous work, honestly, is probably Society.
Yes.
Where they have this event called the shunting, where
Yeah,
people all like combine in a sexual way, like, and melt together.
Society is a notable B horror movie,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Part 4, A Silent Night, Deadly Night 4, has a lot of Society notes to it. Like, if you have seen Society and are at least familiar with Brian Hughes's name, even not his other work, just Society, you could pick up on it that he directed part 4 of this.
It honestly
It's
could be
obvious.
like a baby brother to Society.
Yeah.
So if you like Society, I highly encourage you to watch Silent Night, Deadly Night 4.
It's very, it's the only thing that really connects it to the first 3 is the name.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
that's really it.
I joked in my Letterboxd review of part 4 that the Christmas wreaths decorating
In the beginning.
in the beginning of the movie were definitely like Brian Hughes's compromise with the studio.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'll throw some wreaths up. There you go. It's a Christmas movie now.
Yeah, it's
Because
weird.
It's
like,
not connected at all.
yeah, this is like not even a Christmas movie. Like, it takes place on Christmas, and I can't help but think like
It could have been on any day.
yeah, like that's how like they got the funding for this movie, is like slap on Silent Night, Deadly Night, and then throw in a couple scenes where there's a Christmas tree, Christmas wreaths, and there's one scene with like the family dinner at Christmas that doesn't even need to be in the movie.
Clint Howard is in it, and his name
Yes.
is Ricky, and that is completely happenstance. It's not
Just a complete
actually-
coincidence
Yeah.
that his name is also Ricky.
Which also may have been a compromise.
A
that
nod to be like,
Yuzna
hey, you-
made with the studio.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, Ricky's in it.
But like we said, if you like Society, you'll like part 4. But let me just share a couple pictures with y'all. So this is Clint Howard, a B horror movie legend. You'll remember him from such hits as Ice Cream Man or Ticks.
Such hits.
So let me take this down real quick again. So part 4 follows the story of a young reporter, a woman. I think her name is Kim in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
A woman spontaneously combusts on a rooftop and falls to her death in the opening of this movie. And as a reporter trying to make her climb her way to the top, she wants to find out what happened to this woman. She wants to, get her big break, get a big story. So she starts investigating what's going on. Meanwhile, dealing with, a very man-run industry. So like think Stranger Things season 3, how Nancy is trying to like get her big break, but like all the men like won't let this woman, they're essentially making her do the grunt work and go get them lunches. This is what's happening to Kim in Silent Night, Deadly Night 4. So what she doesn't realize is the bookstore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an occult bookstore is run by a coven of witches.
Yeah, naturally.
So she gets an in with them trying to figure out what's going on. And what she doesn't realize is while this is happening, they are, what would the word be? They are turning, I don't know. They're trying to get her to become a member of the coven or like get transformed into
They use the word in Suspiria, which is even funnier that I can't remember it, but that's just me. The more any of you get,
they're
to know
grooming
me-
her to
Yes,
be like
grooming.
a witch of sorts.
Yeah.
So while this is all going on, you're also getting glimpses of this woman's like apartment, and it's like infested with roaches and shit like that. And it's very buggy and gross. So she's starting to see these visions as she's getting closer and closer to this woman who runs the bookstore. And Clint Howard, like in like that picture I showed you, has like this worm thing. Like she sees giant visions of cockroaches. It's really fucking gross. Like Screaming Mad George did such an incredible job with the special effects in this. And I'm going to share another image with you guys. So they are, look, this could be from Society. This is this woman's hands like getting all melded together.
Yeah, those are her fingers.
Yeah. So like they're like feeding her like this fucking worm thing, and like fucking Clint Howard has like a giant dick nose at one point, and he's like having sex with her. It is gross, and she is getting turned into a witch of sorts. And
you explaining, not that my brain didn't connect these dots while watching it, but I was just so blown away at how ridiculous and over the top it was naturally.
Okay.
I think it's you comparing Kim's role in the paper to Nancy in Stranger Things. Now it's probably just like a brain conspiracy of mine that I'll forget by tomorrow, but it's bizarro to compare those situations with both women trying to rise up in the ranks and
of a patriarchal fucking newspaper.
A newspaper company. Yeah. And Kim in Silent Night, Deadly Night 4 is having visions of cockroaches, and the first article that Nancy is fighting to write is about this woman with rabid rats.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, right? They probably got some of their ideas from
Duffer Brothers. I can't help but wonder, that is extremely niche, but the likelihood of anyone making that connection is very slim. But it could have been just like fun for anyone on that.
They could have taken some influence for sure. They do, obviously, if you watch fucking.
Remind me that if we ever talk about Silent Night, Deadly Night 4 again, because I will forget.
This movie is also composed by Richard Band, who is obviously Charles Band's brother, who did all the Puppet Master, all the Full Moon movies. And the soundtrack sounds like you're watching a fucking Puppet Master movie. It does. It's those weird keys. And like at times I'm like, this is so weird. It's almost like he lifted the Puppet Master score and put it over this movie.
He did.
But anyway, this movie is like not terrible.
No, it's not a Silent Night, Deadly Night movie.
There's nothing to do with Christmas here. I mean, you get to see Kim like completely naked, much like Linnea Quigley. She's like the sexified reporter lady, which is like she's banging all these guys in the fucking newspaper to try and get ahead, and then complaining that she's being like victimized. It's like, girl,
don't.
Okay, all right.
Don't touch that.
Yeah. Well, that's what I got from it. But as it goes on, how does it end?
I had cliff notes all of these movies. She succumbs to the witches.
Yeah.
She passes through, and they essentially tell her like, no, you're gonna join us and do what we want, or we're gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah.
That's really it.
Yeah.
It's nothing that crazy.
But yeah.
It wouldn't be, I wouldn't hate this movie. I didn't hate it. But it's not a Silent Night, Deadly Night movie.
I mean, honestly, if this was called just like its tagline, Silent Night, Deadly Night for Initiation, if this was called like Initiation or something, I think like this movie would get a lot of love. It's really not that Christmassy.
No, I feel like it would get a lot of love on YouTube, and that a lot of people would say it's great and really awesome and hope it gets its own release, and it's not that great. But I would support it. Like if we were young in the 80s or whenever it came out and went to see it, I'd be like, that was pretty fucking tight.
Yeah. But like we said, it's almost like a spiritual successor to Society. It's nice. So if you like Society, I highly recommend watching Silent Night, Deadly Night 4. Now, where are we going to put this on the ranking? So we got number 1 at 1, number 2 at 2, and part 3 at 5. So where's part 4 going to go?
I would put it at 3, honestly.
3? I think I agree with you. So we got 1 at 1, 2 at 2, and part 4 at 3. And I think this like is definitely gonna like differentiate us from a lot of like where people would rank these movies. I know a lot of people love part 5, The Toy Maker, but in rewatching it yesterday, we just finished the series yesterday. It is. I didn't really like it as much as I thought.
Yeah, and he really pumped it up to me. Like, you just have to get through 3 and 4. So I
And,
went
part
in.
5 is great.
No, and
It
I
didn't hold up as well for me.
I had to think about it. He asked me right before we started this. So what would you rank it? And I was like, bro, I don't know. And like even running back part 3 in my mind from just a few days ago, I was like, well, I know I genuinely did not like that one.
Yeah.
So that made it easier at least to put it in for 5. And then I told him like it's between 4 and 5, and going back and forth with you about 4. I'm like, no, I did enjoy that the most out of 3 through 5.
Out of like the extreme sequels.
Yeah, that didn't need to exist.
So Silent Night, Deadly Night 5 is called The Toy Maker. And that's exactly what it is. It's essentially about Mickey Rooney plays a toy maker named Joe Petto. And he has a son named Pino.
Mhm.
Keo. I don't need to spell it out for you. It's funny. And what's kind of hilarious about this is that when the original Silent Night, Deadly Night came out, Mickey Rooney was at the forefront of the people protesting it being made.
Yeah.
And here he is in Silent Night, Deadly Night 5. Bruh.
Whoopsie.
So here we go. Here's a photo of Mickey Rooney as Joe Petto and Pino, his son.
Naturally.
So this movie is about Mickey Rooney owning a toy shop where he creates toys that are going to kill people. He makes a Santa Claus that's like shaped like a bomb that kills this little boy's stepfather in the beginning of the movie, strangles him, and this little boy is traumatized and essentially gets turned into a mute that I would say is almost like a kid on the spectrum, kind of like he's just like for the rest of the movie. And his mom is like trying to get him to open up, like, but the kid is traumatized by seeing Christmas presents. And the whole time, Mickey Rooney is trying to essentially kidnap this little boy. And you're like, why? Like, what the fuck is going on? So the movie goes on, and while the mother is working, they start hatching all these plans to kidnap the kid. And the babysitter is watching them. This is as the movie has gone on. Not much goes on. You just see like interactions between Joe Petto and his son this whole time. And Joe Petto keeps like sneaking, not Joe Petto, the son, Pino, keeps sneaking into this kid's bedroom. And the mom is like, what the fuck is going on? Get your kid out of my house. Get him away from my son. So she's constantly going to the toy store and being like, listen, I'm going to call the fucking cops. And you see these scenes where Mickey Rooney is like essentially drunk and beating the son. You're like, this is fucking weird. And why the hell does this guy keep going to the son's house? So it's because they want to kidnap him. And what we don't know yet is that Mickey Rooney has made his son. His son is a giant toy robot that has a mind of his own. Like he's literally a Pinocchio with like a electronic brain. So you get a cool scene where the baby boy who witnessed the stepfather being killed in the beginning, his babysitter is having sex with her boyfriend, and a bunch of toys show up and just like fuck them up. Like there's a snake that ties them up, and like a giant like tank that shoots a hole through the girl's chest, and a giant like hand puppet thing, just like in Demonic Toys, like is biting her leg, and the boyfriend gets his neck cut by this like stealth bomber looking thing that's made out of knives. It's a very cool sequence, and that is probably my favorite part of this movie, is watching the babysitter and her boyfriend get killed in this bed. So Joe Petto is there. He kidnaps the son. And the mom finally comes home. She's like, oh my God, what happened? What's going on?
Well.
So she drives over to Joe Petto's like, give me my fucking kid. And that's when we get a reveal that the son, Joe Petto, or Pino, has killed Joe Petto. And he's wearing a Mickey Rooney face. And he wants a mother, is what he's trying to do. He's like, I can be your son. And he reveals that he's just like a fucking robot boy, Pinocchio. And he's like, I want a mother. I'm going to kill your son because I want you to be my mother. And there's a really weird scene where he's like humping her. He's like, I'm going to be your son. Take care of me. And it's just like, I don't remember this happening. It's been so long since I watched this movie, and I was like, this is fucking weird. Like, not in a good way weird.
Yeah, why would so many people like this one?
And
even hearing you explain it back, I'm like, yeah, it was weird. And
so he's like trying to kill her son, and just like it doesn't pan out, and like the kid's real father finally shows up to like save the day, and they like chop off Pino's arm and like finally kill him, and all is right in the world, and the movie ends. Like, it's a very weird movie. I'm glad that they made like Silent Night, Deadly Night 4 and 5, like just because like it's straight apart from the Killer Santa. It's just like weird happenstances on Christmas, and the idea of a man making toys that kills you is super cool. And this one is written by Brian Usna again,
but not directed
by him, and that's evident.
Are
obviously
hints in part 5 of part 4, whereas I thought it was going to be somewhat of a continuation, and that was before I knew that Usna didn't direct this one. And then I went into IMDb while watching the movie instead of paying attention naturally, and found out that he wrote the screenplay for it.
Yeah,
or was like
he helped,
he was like on the writers, whatever. Kim from part 4 and Ricky from part 4 are in it again with the same names.
They have the same names, but they're not
characters.
the same characters, and it's so weird. And like,
it just makes me think of like when I was a kid and I had to write creative writing stories for like.
You just keep reusing the same names.
It was always Shelley, and I still to this day have no fucking idea why.
And I wonder if it's just like when they made part 5 and included Kim and Clint Howard as.
It's like, oh well, I already made these characters, and
so like here they are.
I don't plan on using the same storylines for them.
And obviously, if you're keeping track of our ranking, we now have part 1 at part 1, part 2 at part 2, and part 4 is 3 on our ranking. So that means part 5 is
number
4 in the ranking, and part 3 on a desert island at 5. So there's our ranking of the Silent Night, Deadly movies.
I would say leave it on the island.
Yeah,
and
part 3
I'll
is
go to
so
a different
bad.
Island.
But yeah, overall,
no.
What did you think of all these movies? Like as a whole, if you could like, or would you just erase certain ones from existence?
3.
Yeah. Okay. I wholeheartedly agree after revisiting the Vestron release. I don't need part 3. It's hard to watch. It's so bad and doesn't make any sense. At least part 4 and 5 tried to do something different. Whether they were successful is kind of up to you. I think part 4 is a fun society sequel of sorts. Part 5 has an interesting plot, but it just like kind of is weird with the whole like Pinocchio boy wanting to have a mother.
You explain it. It's like, no, it's still complicated in my brain, where my brain is like, I can't sort through this.
Fair.
If I was to rewatch any of them 3 through 5 with you, I would only realistically rewatch Happily Part 4, because I feel like I would notice more from it that I didn't notice this time.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a plot line, like, you know, like a woman that spontaneously combusted, and you're just seeing people turn into fucking like weird cockroach worm people things.
Is this a self-portrait?
I just wanted to share one more image from part 5. This is Pino when it's revealed that he's a fucking like robot toy.
That's what they do to you at the gym.
Oh, like it's fucking kind of brutal to even look at. Let me get that the hell out of there.
Yeah, thank you.
But yeah, so that was the Silent Night, Deadly Night series, guys.
Yikes.
I love with a passion part 1 and part 2. I think Vicky even likes part 1 and part 2.
I saw his list of photos he had pushed to the side to show you guys. I'm only a little sad I didn't remind you. I did at one point do an embroidery of the cover art from the first movie. The
Santa Claus arm with the axe coming out.
And it was...
You gave it to our friends Dave and Carrie.
She bought it from me.
Thanks, Dave and Carrie.
No, I did give it to her. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. But I did embroidery I was really proud of. And two of our friends, a couple that we're friends with, they have it now, and they're huge Christmas fans. So it really tickled me that of all embroideries she wanted from me, it was that one, because it's Killer Santa.
Yeah.
But I'll probably post it on my Instagram for my embroidery at Evil Thread 2 in the next couple of days, more than likely.
Yeah. So is this your reaction to watching these movies?
No, I'm one of those dogs after those.
Vicky and I have been saying and sharing the image of that funny dog that was like a meme a few days ago, where it was like, when I say hee, this is what I mean, and it's that picture of the fucking dog.
Yeah.
One more time for good measure.
It's in our Apple stickers now, and I even send it to friends who don't have any clue that this is how we speak to each other now.
That's the Santa's coming up. Punish, naughty. But yeah, that was the Silent Night, Deadly Night movie, guys.
No, but real quick, before we sign off.
Well, we're not signing off. We're going to give some recommendations as well.
Oh, you didn't tell me.
I didn't give her any heads up.
No, it's fine.
We're doing this off the fucking cuff, baby.
Drinking coffee at almost 8 o'clock at night. I'm tired.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you if you had a favorite Christmas horror movie other than Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Well, that was our recommendations are going to be.
Okay, go for it.
You want me to give you what my favorite Christmas horror movie is? Aside from Silent Night, Deadly Night?
Started off with recommendations, and then I'll bounce off of you.
Okay. Well, my favorite Christmas horror movie of all time, aside from Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yeah, that one's not allowed.
No, so this will be our recommendations for you. Is obviously Bob Clark's Black Christmas, 1974. The original slasher movie, man. And the irony is that Bob Clark also directed A Christmas Story. So he not only made like the most famous Christmas horror movie of all time, he also made like, up to debate, of course, the most famous Christmas movie of all time with A Christmas Story. He's on both ends of the spectrum, baby. But Black Christmas is iconic, man. It's the things he would say to those women on the phone at their sorority is so gnarly for 1974. The suffocation of the woman and kept in the window is just insane. And like the ideas of a woman like being pressured into having an abortion in 1974 is like, these are topics that were not really brought up that much back then. You know what I mean? And it's just still to this day, very watchable, very dark, and just awesome. I'll even throw in like the 2006 remake, Black Xmas, is really cool.
I was going to speak on that.
Go ahead. It's totally different from the original, but go ahead.
I really enjoyed it. Granted, time-wise, 2006.
It fits right into that realm of horror movies, too.
My love for it is very much one of those you had to be there kind of things, because I can't explain it to someone who hasn't seen it, or maybe saw it years after it came out and they don't have my level of appreciation for it. My childhood best friend and I would quote it endlessly at each other. Like, it was hysterical to me. Aunt Vula from My Big Fat Greek Wedding was the sorority mom. Like, language.
And what's her name is in it as well? Who's the lead actress? Well, the famous actress that you get called all the time.
Michelle Trachtenberg.
Michelle Trachtenberg's in it.
Yeah.
But she gets killed quick.
Yeah, she's not, I wouldn't call her the lead by any means.
No, but she was like the star that was in the movie.
Yeah, when I was a child, I looked a lot like Harriet the Spy, so that's what I was called by kids. Not an insult
but
at all.
It's totally different from the original, but it's still a lot of fun to watch.
Fit very much in with that late 90s, early 2000s slasher model.
Yeah, like if you like Urban Legend and Valentine and Scream even.
But like off-brand almost. Like, I didn't see the original Black Christmas until way after I saw, it was just Black Christmas 2006.
Yeah.
I didn't see it until way after because I had this remake that I love that fit tonally with our generation.
Yeah. I think it's great, and I think it's finally getting its due diligence from like people I see on YouTube and things, or they finally are like, yeah, this movie's actually pretty good. And I agree. It's a great watch, a good companion to the original, just a little more like fast paced and just like movies of that time. Like there's a little more gore, like it's a little more vulgar. What other Christmas horror movies?
It's my turn.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to bounce off of, you recommended the original, so like,
I mean, you can't talk about Christmas horror and not mention Black Christmas. It is iconic.
With that being said,
okay,
I'm going to say one that I knew you wouldn't say because I know you're not a fan of it, and I guess over the next couple of days when we have time, we can dip our toes back into that because I know you're not nuts about it. Christmas Evil. I think it's great.
She loves Christmas Evil.
I don't love it, but I'm working my way up to loving it. I just watched it the second time. I'm going through my letterbox as my reference point right now. And I just rewatched it. My first rewatch last January, sorry. And I really enjoyed it.
But what do you like about it?
I just found it more relatable. Like I really liked the
It's
main
essentially
character.
a study of like a person's descent into madness.
I liked that.
Yeah, I'm kind of indifferent on Christmas Evil. It's whatever.
It's one of those highly celebrated movies that doesn't land with one of us.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. It's just I'd rather watch Black Christmas if I'm gonna. Actually, no, because I'd rather watch Silent Night, Deadly Night if I'm gonna watch a killer Santa movie. You know. But it is cool. It's a cool idea.
Enjoyed it because of his wanting to stick with tradition, and
yeah,
I don't know. I felt for him. Again, I'll rewatch it, hopefully with you over the next couple of days, and see how you feel about it if you change your mind at all.
I'd be remiss not to mention my next recommendation, but everyone's seen it, of course. Gremlins.
Yeah,
Gremlins
that's
is
a given.
Amazing. It's dude, Gizmo and Stripe, and it's just fuck, man, Gizmo. Like, I love Gizmo. I love Gremlins. I love Zach Galligan. Phoebe Cates' story about her dad dying in the fucking chimney is so fucking dark, but the movie is amazing, and it is, as like a lot of people would say, it is the perfect gateway horror movie for a lot of people because it's not scary per se, but it has terrifying elements. It's more cute than anything, but Joe Dante's fucking Gremlins, man, it's iconic. Of course I have to mention Gremlins.
And I'll go ahead and say it. Violent Night.
Violent Night was
I
pretty
thought
good.
it was so fucking great. Yeah. Granted, I'm just a sucker for David
Well, that was
Harbour.
the one from last year, of course.
And we finally saw it January 22nd of technically this year.
Yeah. But it's about Santa Claus being like a drunk fool, and all of a sudden he has to save the day from John Leguizamo.
Hopper in Stranger Things, but in a different town, in a different decade.
Yeah.
Dressed as Santa. I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I enjoyed it so much. Yeah. I think I felt for him.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. You know, a lot of people I see talk about it say it didn't go there for me. You know,
I get that,
but like it was entertaining as hell for a new movie. It was fine, but I wouldn't even call that a horror movie at all. So that doesn't count.
I'm going through my watch list, so I don't know. We watched a lot of random movies last Christmas.
Elves is pretty good. Definitely check out Elves if you have like Tubi, or it's even on YouTube. It doesn't have any physical release or anything like that, but Elves is entertaining. Don't Open Till Christmas if you like a lot of boobs and stuff in your movies. What else can we recommend? Jack Frost is a campy, schlocky as fuck. A serial killer essentially gets melted down into snow, and then he comes back to life as a killer fucking snowman, and Shannon Elizabeth's even in it, and he like essentially like rapes her in a shower. It's fucking so goofy and over the top, but it's a lot of fun to watch.
In the last month, I saw either a meme or a meme of a tweet about somebody's favorite pastime memories going to Blockbuster and swapping the Jack Frost, the family one and the horror one, like swapping the
Michael Keaton Jack Frost with the serial killer one.
Yesterday, a guy and his son were in the bar restaurant I work in, and the son just started yelling when I walked up to their table, "It's a snowman! It's a talking snowman!" And he wouldn't stop yelling it, but I was a little busy. I finally looked up. I was like, "Oh yeah, it's Jack Frost." And then like laughed and said to the dad, "The family friendly one." Hello. And he started laughing because he too is a horror fan. But I like looked up and I like had to look at that Jack Frost, and I was like, we wouldn't be playing the horror one.
Let's see, what else could be considered American Psycho. There's that scene. Like, he's like, mistletoe alert. Yeah, don't be a Grinch, Patrick.
Yeah, but I feel like that's the horror movie debate. Just
I mean, it's not a Christmas horror movie, but it takes place
there is
around
a
Christmas.
Scene involving Christmas.
Yeah. What about just like Christmas movies in general? Like, which ones do you like? not horror
I
related.
just said it yesterday at work.
I don't really
to
like
someone else.
Christmas movies that much.
I
like
don't
everyone
like
else.
Christmas personally, but
Grew up watching Home Alone, of course, which is
naturally, I'll say I said it yesterday and I'll say it again.
fun. Love A Christmas Story. She's
Jingle
never seen
All
it.
the Way. No, I've
Oh,
never
yeah.
seen A Christmas Story. I don't care.
Jingle All the Way is
Jingle All the
fantastic.
Way. I've loved it since I was a kid. I don't watch it a lot now, but my memory of it's still so strong. But that for me is the most Christmassy of my
Sinbad,
favorites.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Phenomenal.
Fucking amazing.
And also, side
Hartman.
note to anyone still watching this who is also a Seinfeld fan, happy Festivus. I should
Yeah,
have started
happy
this off
Festivus.
with this.
Boys and girls.
Festivus
for the rest of
exists
this.
because of things like Jingle All the Way. It's
I
turbo
got a lot of
time
problems with you people.
but it's tied for me with Die Hard. I will die on that
Die
hill.
Hard is definitely
Valerie,
a
I
Christmas
will die on that hill.
movie. Christmas Vacation. Fucking love Christmas Vacation. I love all the vacation movies, but that to me is one that I want to watch every year. Shitter's full. And then like the scene of him with like the hockey mask on and the chainsaw is always so funny. Julia Louis-Dreyfus from Seinfeld is in Christmas Vacation. God, there's so many Christmas movies, but I'm not a huge Christmas movie guy. I'd rather watch like Killer Santa Claus movies, of course.
I'd rather watch anything.
But are there any other Christmas horror movies we forgot to mention?
No, I was going through my letterbox and either
There's not
we
that
haven't
many.
watched any since I've had this account.
Yeah.
Or I don't
Oh!
know. I know I can recommend one not to watch. Christmas Bloody Christmas, the robot Santa.
Oh, that was fine.
I rated it low. I
Really?
didn't even give it a heart.
That's the one
then-
that came out last year.
Yeah, I think it was
It's about
on,
a
Shudder.
robot killer Santa, but it's
Ugh.
directed by the guy who did VFW,
That doesn't
which I
make
thought was
it
fun.
okay.
I just think the problem I had with it was that it really tried hard to use like a lot of like crazy lighting and stuff to like be like, hey, look, here's our nod to like the Dario Argento giallos.
No.
But like, yeah, it was a little too much for me. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. But it was fine.
I didn't hate it. I just didn't enjoy it, and therefore, no.
I will say this. There is a movie that people fucking love, Christmas horror, that I don't like at all.
What? Other than Christmas Evil?
Fucking Krampus.
Oh.
I hate Krampus.
So the first time we watched the new Krampus, whenever that was new,
like 2015 or something.
we were quite a few beers and cocktails into the night,
Yeah.
and then smoked some stuff.
We did things.
And
We were baked like potatoes.
I was already falling asleep on the couch and woke up to him freaking out.
I was like having a panic attack.
The gingerbread man
I
were
was-
having quite the effect on him.
I was so fried that like the gingerbread
They
man
were coming out of the
freaking me
screen
out.
at him.
But regardless
But
of
that's
that,
still really funny.
yeah. We rewatched it again last year just to see like
I just wanted to see it realistically for the first time because that was my first time seeing it. And like I said, I fell asleep.
yeah, and listen, I love Michael Dougherty. I love Trick or Treat, but this one, like, it has such like a grand scale of like this Krampus creature, you know, like holy shit, like we're finally getting a legit Krampus movie, and it just never really. It was too silly. That was its problem for me. Like, I don't get me wrong, I love seeing like the little gingerbread man coming and killing people,
Yeah,
the little
it's
like
hysterical.
the little
but
clown like eating the family members. It's like cool ideas, but it's like not fully realized.
things that I could see as like a TikTok feature. Like I don't need a whole movie of that.
Yeah, it's just like too silly for me is why I don't like it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I wanted Krampus to do more in it. Like, you don't get like enough of it. There's like moments where it reminds me of like Storm of the Century, where it's like the whole town is quiet all of a sudden and it's empty. Like, that to me is scary, but they never like fully dive into it and like why it's like that. To me would make the movie a little scarier. It's like, holy shit, why is this so quiet? Why, like, what's going on? I don't know. It's just too funny, too silly.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But like, sorry to all you people. I know a lot of people love Krampus. I do
it.
not like
you
it.
can keep it. I don't want it.
What are you looking around for more Christmas horror?
I do this all the time. Even when I play Sporkle trivia a lot on my phone. And anytime I can't remember an actor's name or the name
Lethal Weapon.
Oh yes.
Great Christmas movie.
Very dark. In that regard.
That's in the same vein as like Die Hard though. It's like
I
Is it
will
really a
die
Christmas
on
movie?
this hill. But I'll like just glance at our shelves, and I
Trying to
won't even
find
have.
anything?
No, I won't even have to see the title. I'll just turn my head, and the title will pop into my brain, and I type furiously.
There's a lot of Christmas horror.
Yeah, as you
It's
guys know.
not my favorite subgenre. Like we did in the beginning of this video where we ranked all the Silent Night, Deadly Night movies. This to me is like what I want to watch.
The pièce de résistance.
Yeah. But like, I don't know, that or Black Christmas
Yeah.
or even Gremlins, I would suggest.
I think that's a great gateway.
Yeah, like watch
Type
Gremlins if
movie.
you're like spooked by Christmas horror. You know what I
Or
mean?
also like if you're like sitting with like your young family members.
Yeah,
don't
or
wanna
you
scare
have a
them.
young kid or like a young nephew or
Yes.
someone. You're like,
Have
watch
at it
Gremlins with them.
It's a great.
Don't
good
show them
time.
Silent Night, Deadly Night
No.
yet. Wait till they're a little older.
Yeah,
But yeah, there's our ranking for all the Silent Night, Deadly Night movies.
I'm tired.
Yeah. And some recommendations on Christmas horror, which isn't our favorite subgenre, so we don't have a lot to say about it.
Yeah.
But we hope you enjoyed spending this time with us. And if you watched this long, thank you so very much.
And also, side note, the 13th was our 10-year anniversary
Yes.
together. Not married, but together.
Yeah.
And it was just Bill's birthday yesterday.
Don't
December is a
dox
big-
me.
Sorry. December is a big month.
Yeah. And we got Christmas coming up in a couple days. But thank you
Barely.
guys so much for watching.
Yeah.
And if you could do us a favor and like this video, it helps out the channel a lot. And sorry, this isn't an edited video. It's another live video, but it's just
That's
a little
what
bit
we were
easier
able to do.
time-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the next video we'll probably do will be our end of the year. We'll probably do live as well because
It's just easier and we're less critical of ourselves. when
yeah,
there's no
and
editing
we're
involved.
gonna have a lot to say because we're just gonna essentially do the best and worst movies or TV shows and stuff that we saw this year, and also maybe like our favorite like releases, physical media wise, of this past year. So we'll probably do that honestly on like New Year's Eve because like we don't party anymore. We really
Yeah.
just like watch movies all day. So we'll do
get
that
a
nice and early.
six-pack of zero alcohol beers. And
Yeah, you could
kick
pregame with us while we
Yeah.
talk about the best and worst of 2023.
We got a lot
Yeah.
of both.
So thank you guys so much for watching. And until at the very least next week or until we have enough time to make an edited video, we love you so much. Please like the video. And thank you. And we hope you have a safe and happy holiday season. Don't do anything stupid. Enjoy time with your family. Eat a lot of fucking food. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Adios,
Merry
guys.
Christmas. Happy holidays. Enjoy your time with your families or friends, what have you. Enjoy.
Hello.
Hello.
Bye, guys. We love you. Please like the video. Adios.